As we've already reported here, 2 law firms are now representing passengers who wish to launch a class action lawsuit following the crash of Air Canada Flight 624 at Halifax Airport on Sunday morning. About 25 of the 133 passengers on board were injured when the Airbus A320 crashed about 1,000 feet short of the runway after it collided with an antenna array and some power lines. The plane was just today removed from the airfield. MacGillivray Law is one of the 2 firms involved, and the senior partner and founder, Jamie MacGillivray, is here with us tonight. It's good of you to come.
Thank you. Thank you.
How did this case come to you and MacGillivray Law?
We heard from, in the hours and in the day following the crash, we were consulted by some family members of people involved and from some people who were passengers.
And is it true that you actually have people in the firm who had a sort of connection to some of the people on the plane?
By coincidence, we learned that the next day, yeah.
And are they involved in the class action?
I'm not sure at this point. I can't. We have a lot of inquiries and a lot of meetings over the last few days, so we're kind of scrambling to keep up with things.
Sure. How many people have you heard from now in total?
My guess is about 15.
About 15?
Yeah, 15.
Go ahead.
15 passengers.
What can you?
Or some people were traveling together with a loved one.
Sure. What can you tell us about the client who would be leading this class action? What was their story to you?
Well, they all have the same story in terms of the chronology of how the crash happened. Mm-hmm. And as far as a lead client, we had someone selected, but then other law firms became involved too, or another firm. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to work with that law firm to develop a strategy that will work best for all of the people who were passengers on the plane.
So your firm is now working with Wagner's in the interest of perhaps uniting the class?
We're talking about it, and we're trying to figure out an approach that will work best for our clients.
For those who don't know, and that would be most of us, I guess, who could be part of this class? Is every person who was on that plane eligible to be in the class?
It's really unlimited how a class setup would work. It's the lawyer's job to propose to the judge a procedure. Mm-hmm. And part of that procedure would be putting all of the passengers on notice of the claim if they haven't already been talking to legal counsel. So it could include everybody. It could include just people who have physical or psychological injuries, and whether that everybody has those kind of injuries, probably not, but
it could.
It could.
You are noted as a personal injury lawyer. In fact, you have one of the largest practices in Atlantic, Canada. From what we've been able to gather, most of the personal injuries here don't seem altogether that serious. Most of the people have been treated and released from hospital. Do you have any sense of what sort of damages you might be seeking for people who were not particularly seriously injured?
Well, it's hard to understand what a serious injury is, mm-hmm. like how you would define that term, but what we're doing, our clients at this point, some have injuries, or all of them have physical trauma. Maybe you would compare it to a bad car accident where the car was whirled off the highway or something like that. They have soft tissue injuries, and they're really shook up emotionally and perhaps psychologically. But what they're really wanting to find out is, the truth about what happened. So part of the process is finding out the truth. And they're motivated too. They want things to be safer. They want to help make something like this not happen again. Mm-hmm. So the early stages of a class action, or any claim for that matter, are all about discovering the facts. So the first step would be we would get copies of all of the documents related to this, all of the investigative reports. We would get the cockpit recording, and we would discover what happened. And hopefully that would help, our clients and Air Canada, for that matter, work towards making flying safer.
Since the investigation is really still underway and there are so many unanswered questions, a lawsuit at this point might seem premature to many. Is this the right time to proceed with a lawsuit before you have all those answers?
Well, a lawsuit isn't just about getting to court and getting compensation. Mm-hmm. It's about discovering. It's the only legal means for our clients to discover what happened.
You can't rely on the TSB to do it.
The TSB, we can rely on them, and we will definitely use what they come up with. But, for example, I don't think they're required to turn over the cockpit recordings. And we don't know their timeline, the government, the TSB's timeline. It could be, I read in the Globe, it could be in the Globe and Mail, that it could be months or years before they come forward.
Right.
So we'll be setting our own timeline for our clients. We'll be discovering what happened. That's what the first stages of a lawsuit are about. So the only way to get those documents, to get the recordings, and to really know what to question the people involved, and is to initiate an action in the Supreme Court. So that's the first stages. That's what it's all about early on.
And who
to
will
find
you be
out
suing?
what happened.
Who will you be suing?
We're still researching and investigating, but likely all three entities involved. You know, Air Canada, NAV Canada, and the airport. But that may change as the thing progresses. Those are the three people we want information from. That's the thing.
I guess when you launch a lawsuit and you name the people you're suing, the suspicion on the part of the public is that there was some blame to be laid and perhaps there was some incompetence involved. Is that what's alleged here, that there was incompetence here?
We're pointing no fingers at anyone right now. You know, I have as much compassion for the pilot and the people who responded, even the executives at Air Canada, as I do for the passengers. Nobody wanted this to happen. So we're not doing a finger-pointing exercising just for the sake of it. We're trying to find out what went wrong, why it went wrong, how can the future behavior of the people involved be changed to keep it from happening again.
But there may well be money damages here.
Well, there no doubt would be money damages if it turns out someone's at fault. It's possible, perhaps unlikely, that there was some kind of mechanical failure that nobody could have prevented. I don't know that answer. I don't think anybody does at this point. And if that's the case, there wouldn't be financial compensation. But we would find that out through the course of the case.
Well, it's certainly going to be an interesting story to follow. We appreciate getting some insights from you tonight. It's good to meet you. Jamie MacGillivray is a noted personal injury lawyer, and one of those who's leading a class action lawsuit for some of the passengers on Air Canada 624. Back with more in just a moment.